Now, recently, it was reported that the Koch brothers will be spending nearly $900 million, nearly $1 billion, on the 2016 presidential race. Just by themselves, outspending both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party when it comes to giving money. Now, the Koch brothers are giving it through 17 different groups. They're funneling the money all through different sorts of groups in order to buy the election in 2016. Now, this came as no surprise. Even some of the pundits were like, well, of course. We're going to continue to have more unprecedented spending as it continues, as it gets closer and closer to 2016. And as the state of our campaign system right now, the sorry state of our system with McCutcheon, with Bellotti, with Citizens United, we continue to see record spending every election cycle. And this is no different. And this is no surprise. Just seeing both Koch brothers spending nearly $1 billion just on this one race is not a surprise. Did you know President Obama's election campaign, overall, as a whole, with all contributions, spent $1 billion? We're on track to break that. We are on track to break $1 billion in campaign finance spending in 2016. $1 billion. They're going to buy the election. Now, this is not a surprise. This is not surprising at all. What is also not surprising is that the Democrats are pretty much saying, we are fucked. When it comes to fundraising, Democratic strategist Bill Burton says, quote, the truth is the Democrats will never match what Republicans can put into these races. And that's true. Republicans are the party of big money. They're the party of large corporations and wealthy donors because they serve their masters so well. They serve their masters. Yes, master, give me that money. What can I do for you? It's not what I can do for the American people. It's what I can do for you, Mr. Koch. What can I do for you, Mr. Adelson? What can I do for you, Mr. Freeze? What can I do to make life better for the billionaires who have the most money in the system? What can I do? This is what the Republican Party stands for. And what's kind of funny is that former Ohio Governor Ted Strickland says of the Koch brothers and their outspending of both the Democrat and the Republican parties, quote, it's almost as if these folks are creating their own third political party, which is, once again, I find completely unsurprising when it comes to the Koch brothers. Remember, Koch brothers are libertarians. They are the far-right libertarian party. This isn't classic libertarianism. This is deep right-wing libertarianism, radical libertarianism. The kind of libertarianism that wants to get rid of all government, all taxation, everything, all welfare. Get rid of it. That's what the Koch brothers are about. And they are using their money to try and make that happen by buying elections. Now, what is the good news? I'm not sure if there is any. Except for the last time they tried to buy the election, in 2012, they did not. They failed. They could not get Mittens Romneyton III elected. They just couldn't do it. Not with all the money in the world. But now they're facing even more money because they're doubling down and saying, we need to spend more. We're going to flood the system. With McCutcheon now removing all limits, you have nearly unlimited money, unlimited, undisclosed money going into this system. And the Koch brothers are saying yes. The billionaires are saying yes. Now we can unleash the kraken of money that we have saved up. Just unleash it. But the thing is, now that the Democrats know that they can't even touch that amount of money, I have a suggestion for them. Here's what they should do. Instead of worrying about how much money you can raise, and I know you still need money to run an election, I understand that. They can go for the small donors. Stop courting the rich. My advice is that you stop courting the rich as Democrats and start running on economic populism. The minimum wage. Income inequality. We've seen that already, and it's starting to resonate with people. But we need to push further. Push more progressive. And no longer, what would make the people rally is if we're to start taking the bankers to task. If someone were to come out and say, if someone running for the presidency, and I'm not talking Elizabeth Warren, okay, a lot of signs say that she's not going to run. But if a Democratic candidate comes through and says, I'm going to take the bankers to task, I'm going to start arresting some people, vote for me. I will put bankers behind bars. I will raise the minimum wage. Not this 10-10 bullshit. 15. Living wage. That will galvanize the public. And the only reason the Democrats don't do that right now is because they're trying to court big money. But now that they know that they're going to be outspent, they should run on populism. Because it works. Populism. Economic populism. They do that, they'll have a much better shot. And I know it'll be hard to overcome that money. But the only way to do it is to have a better message than the Republicans. And I think economic populism is the way to do it. And not just to say it, but to mean it. And I think when you get candidates that are separated from the money, you'll find candidates that are more apt to stick to their actual promises when they don't have to repay their donors, when their donors are the American people, when their donors are small donors, raising small amounts of money. They don't have to answer to big donors. They have to answer to the American people. And that's what will win the election. That's what will win. That will get people out to vote, because that's what people want from their government, to be responsive to them, not to some faceless billionaire. That's what people want. And so that's the good takeaway from this, is that maybe the Democratic Party will learn. We'll see that because we cannot raise as much money, nearly as much money as the Republicans, maybe we should stop focusing on courting billionaires and start courting the people. Because ultimately, that's who they work for.